So, hi again. My name is Lisa. Like I said, I'm the Public Benefits Legal Assistant at Legal Aid of DC. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing this SNAP challenge where you eat based on the average SNAP benefit amount for an individual in the US, which is currently $134 a month. So in this second video, I wanted to talk about basically what rules I'm going to be following for the next 2 weeks. Before I get started on the rules, I wanted to just mention something that I forgot to mention in my earlier video. The reason that I'm so unfamiliar with the experience of living on SNAP and food insecurity is because I grew up in an experience of privilege and in a really affluent bubble. And it was something that I never experienced growing up. And it was also something that nobody that I knew experienced, and also something that nobody ever talked about. So it's because I come from that background of privilege that this is such an unfamiliar experience for me, and I just wanted to explicitly say that. I feel like I implied it in my last video, but I just really wanted to say it directly. So premise number one, and I feel like this is the most important premise, is that my SNAP benefits are going to be on my card when I go to the grocery store in this hypothetical SNAP situation. This is so important because there are so many people who don't get their benefits when they should, and that's one of the most common SNAP related issues that legal aid helps people with, is when you turn in your recertification paperwork, but LOL, sorry, no benefits on your card this month. Or maybe you were supposed to recertify but they never sent you a letter, and then they're like, oh, you didn't recertify, haha, no SNAP. So just assuming that the benefits are on my card is a huge assumption, because that is so often not the case, and is not something that should be taken for granted. Okay, premise number two is that I'm not allowed to buy anything that you're not allowed to buy with SNAP benefits. So there are specific, you can't just go into the grocery store and buy anything in the grocery store. There are very specific rules about what you're allowed to buy and what you're not allowed to buy. For example, you're not allowed to buy alcohol. You're not allowed to buy goods like toothpaste or paper towels or toilet paper or diapers or pet food. And you're also not allowed to get warm food. This is kind of confusing. I'm still trying to learn exactly what the rules are, but it's basically just strict food groceries that you can get off of a shelf. So premise number three is that I'm going to assume that I don't have any leftover cash this month to get food outside of what my SNAP allotment is. So I'm assuming that I don't have extra cash to go out to eat, and that I also don't have extra cash to buy more groceries. And this is something that I feel like I've seen a lot of comments on other SNAP videos about this. People saying, well, it's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, as in it's supposed to supplement your other grocery budget, and you should be able to buy food outside of what SNAP benefits you're getting each month. But I find, and I'm not sure if there are any official studies on this, but just anecdotally from talking to people through work, it seems that's not always the case, that there's not always additional money left over to just be able to spend on other groceries. Basically, when you apply for SNAP, how the amount that you're allocated gets decided is they look at your income, and they also look at very, very specific expenses. So they look at your rent and your utilities, any childcare expenses, so daycare or babysitters or something like that. And that's pretty much it. Any out-of-pocket medical expenses as well that are over $30. But they don't look at things like transportation to get to work. If you have a car, they don't think about car payments that you may have, or insurance or gas. They don't think about things that you need to buy clothes or school supplies for your hypothetical children. They don't think about things like necessities like toilet paper or paper towels or toothpaste or toothbrushes or anything that you need around the house. And they also don't think about any particular other payments that you may need to have, student loans or any other kind of debt that you may have that you need to be paying off. So even though they do look at some expenses, they don't look at all of them. And so it seems to me just looking at the expenses that the Department of Human Services looks at when they decide what SNAP benefit amount they're going to give you doesn't really seem to be totally holistic when thinking about the actual expenses that you have in a given month. And so for this challenge, I'm going to assume that any extra income that I had that I theoretically could have spent on food, I'm going to be assuming that I needed to spend it on something else this month, and that the SNAP that I got is the only money that I have left over for food. So the last premise is I'm not going to be accepting any free food or any snacks around my office. And this is also, I think, kind of a controversial choice because, you know, theoretically, if I was on SNAP, wouldn't I want to, you know, accept free food from people and free food around my office so that I could have, you know, more flexibility in terms of, you know, what I need to spend my actual groceries on? And yes, but I also don't want to assume that I would have the same access to the same free food and opportunities that I would if I were living on SNAP. It seems like the less you need these things, the more likely you are to have access to them. So, you know, if I'm making a low enough income to be eligible for SNAP, you know, who knows whether I would work in a workplace that would provide me free access to snacks all the time. Maybe I would, you know, but maybe I wouldn't. And so I'm going to assume that I don't have access to free snacks at work. And same thing with accepting free food from friends. None of my friends are income eligible for SNAP either. None of my housemates are. I just feel like I can't really assume that I would have the exact same access to free food from my friends or my housemates or my work if I were living on an income low enough to make me eligible for SNAP. And so in the interest of trying to be as authentic as possible, I am not going to be accepting that free food. So my SNAP challenge starts tomorrow. I don't know, I'm feeling really nervous. I feel like when I first had the idea for this, when I first decided that I was gonna do this, like about a month ago was when I started thinking about it, I was like, it'll be fine. I was like, I'm so budget conscious already, it can't really be that different, it'll be totally fine. And I can already tell that I was like so wrong. It is so different. The budget that I live on as a legal assistant at Legal Aid is, even though it is, again, very much a budget, it doesn't even come close to how little the SNAP amount is that I'm gonna start eating on. I mean, it's like a whole other level of budgeting. But I guess like that's the point, right? You know? It's supposed to put you out of your comfort zone and make you really think about like what it is like to buy food with $30 a week. So we'll see how it goes. I'll talk to you guys like in a week when I'm a week in, and we'll let you know how hungry I am at that point. So yeah, bye.